Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I am making for Wudi or Woody, I'm not sure, Wudi or Woody, for their custom monthly music review. We're going to be checking out a track by an act named Omnipotent Youth Society, and this title of this track is apparently translated, it is Suburban Sleeping Temple. So we're going to switch over to here, and on the screen here we've got these 8 tracks. Now usually, to be fair, I limit the length of the songs I review to about 7.5 minutes. So that's the deal with SP Patron reviews. But just because this is our first one and we didn't know in advance, we're gonna review this entire track. Okay, it's all good. We're gonna listen through this track from start to finish. The last track on the second album from Omnipotent Youth Society. I think there's 2. Yeah, there's 2. Apparently, it took them 10 years. 10 years to make the first one, and another 10 years to release the second. So listen through this track from start to finish and hear what we think. Let's go. I love the bells, the instant atmosphere to it, you know? Jingling and jangling in the wind. And the strings are an absolutely phenomenal touch there. I really enjoy that. You know, having the entire string section there to lead us in after the bells with the guitar it's beautiful, isn't it? This is what 10 years of preparation looks like. Take your time with music. You don't need to throw it out into the abyss. You know, you can plan it out and make it really special. I love the harmony we've got here between these 2 vocalists. It's so gorgeous, you know. It's so gorgeous. There's a softness to it. There's a clear understanding of music theory and composition. It's really charming.
星河下，莲子荒原，一碗长冷暖，一碗已无人。
What I love is when we have more room for a song to breathe by having a longer length to a track, you really are in a position where you can elevate yourself a little bit by not just telling the story but doing these really interesting vocal harmonies on top of the guitar here. We probably even haven't had half of the arrangement yet, but we've just got enough to really appreciate the minimal elements there, and we're taking our time with expanding upon this world that we're in, and I respect them for that.
切断电缆，
Great triplet groove to it.
朝下晚风，
Really simple chord progression, but it's so effective.
是收入
It's so peaceful and it loops and resolves itself nicely, and similarity to the tone of the vocals, just to elaborate on that, you know?
临时生活。 切断电缆，数字云烟，免费月光。
What's good about it? Can you hear that additional layer here in the right part of stereo field? Can you hear that little light layer, that bit of development here musically on the side? You know, we're not changing the chord progression, we have a similar vibe to it, but we have just a little bit of brightness on that side just to keep things sounding fresh. It's so clever, so clever.
月光融铁心，助我身与心。月光融铁心，助我身与心。渤海的战。
See, this is the average length of a song nowadays, 3 minutes 20. But I don't necessarily feel as if I've spent that amount of time with it. It's flown by. That's the power of music, where it's not trying to sort of smash and slap you in the face all the time for your attention. It's letting you just sit with it and absorb it slowly at your own pace. It's very friendly sounding music. Again, I'm not sure what the song's about, and that's okay, because I'm predominantly appreciating the time I have with it without needing to understand it.
太行水泥，总叫一包，慈善股票，幻觉贸易，阶级电梯。
I think this is actually a really important song for people to listen to who really appreciate and adore the minimalist approach to music. You know, we have someone here who utterly understands how to make a theme meaningful for as long a space of time as it needs to. We've just had this left side fill up on the extreme right left, and it's just, you know, with this additional sort of like maybe like a banjo or like a plucked kind of instrument additional to the guitar, and it's kind of mirroring what's happening on the right, like it's an additional quad track, and it's just so cool, man.
高级发明，凝聚身与心，见此不夜城，凝聚身与心，见此不夜城。
Again, we've got a similar vocal melody here. We're not really changing it up too much, but we gravitate towards this string solo now here, which is a nice change of pace from the vocals. It's not quite in the center of the stereo field, but it floats nonetheless. You know, it cool response of these chromatics here. This is art. You know, this is art. This is musical art.
燕园事业，点燃世界。
I mean, we just had that beautiful midsection there with the strings, the harmony there, the wondrous nature of it. You can imagine walking through fields of the high grass like the wheat and stuff like that with the sun in the sky. It almost makes me nostalgic for a time that I can't instantly visualize, but it makes me want to be there regardless. You know, just barring the language barrier. Nice back and forth between the two parts of the stereo field, you know?
东方水印，涌上街头，街头嘈杂。 公共聋哑，经济换点蓝，寻 环追不离，荆棘换点蓝。
And again, these little flutes here, the high flutes here, they're just so gorgeous, aren't they? They just flutter like little birds.
循环追不离。
It's like a grass whistle or something like that, or like a high fiddle, you know?
我有迷魂，额头滚烫。
Oh, they got a violin there. I know that's a violin.
我有迷魂，人间明暗，鸟兽安语，危险消息，自然有意，自然躲避，细嚼有迷离，诸君出重围，细嚼有迷离，诸君出重围。
There's just so much brightness and extra coloration with these strings and flutes on top of the guitar and the vocals. There's such a sense of, it's so constant, but at the same time, I'm not really sure what makes this so incorrigibly alluring.
人间明暗，人间
Nice double tracking to those vocal parts here as well. The octave work is fantastic.
人间明暗，人间明暗，人间明暗。
It's a treat. You know, it's a treat.
新语言，旧语言。
Lovely plucks here. Again, I wasn't expecting the plucks to come in at the end. I suppose we are concluding, aren't we?
怎样回答不眠的时间？星河下，电子荒原，一万场冷暖，一万你无人。
Damn. What an album. What an album though, man. Because this is my conclusion of my review of, what was it? What was the song? Suburban Sleeping Temple. Suburban Sleeping Temple, if I'm not mistaken. Suburban Sleeping Temple by Omnipotent Youth Society. What a banger of a track. Again, and this is okay, by the way. I don't have English translations for these lyrics, so don't worry, that's okay. Okay, sometimes it's just going to be difficult to find English translations for these songs. But at the same time, I enjoyed the song so much without understanding what was being said. I think that this song was meant to set a mood and ambience. It sounded so peaceful and wonderful and almost nostalgic and retrospective. There was this great sense of mana about it, this sense of inner strength and self-awareness and a gratitude for life. A kindness exuberated from the performance in general. The vocals, the singing was splendid. We didn't need to go Mariah Carey on the mic to be able to get the required effect. Something that Omnipotent Youth Society do so well is that they manage to absolutely nail this oral aesthetic of kindness, charm, and friendliness. It always sounds so friendly. In a different respect, it kind of reminds me a little bit of JJ Lin, except this seems a little bit more philosophical somehow. This is like if JJ Lin got a little bit out of the box and a little bit more experimental, and there'll be people who tell me to go F myself because I said that potentially. I don't know, because maybe JJ Lin does do stuff outside the box of what we heard in like the top 5 Spotify, but at the same time, I cannot emphasize enough, when I listen to a track like this, I think it's done damn near flawlessly. I've got no complaints about it whatsoever. Sensational effort on the part of everyone involved, especially the vocalist. Great technique, fantastic, comfortable within their range, comfortable with their chest voice there. Those falsettos and lower range harmonies were absolutely exquisite and divine. And while the vocal performance was moderately tempered throughout, there wasn't a whole lot of range of exuberance of charisma. We were confident and we knew what we were doing, and you knew where we were headed, and that's just all we need, right? The structure of the track, along with the main motif, there were changes to it, but we typically had 3 to 4 chords at a time. There were traditional triads. The complication within the overall harmonies and textures came from the additional elements of like the strings and the woodwinds and the flutes and stuff like that alongside the guitar. It was one of the times where like there wasn't a bass or a drum kit, and I didn't necessarily mind that at all. I think that the song, I think it would not have benefited from it. I think the sweetness and the softness that comes without having a harder percussive response. I think that this is exactly what we needed from this track today, and Omnipotent Youth Society pulled that off. You know, the instrumental performances in regards to the way that the music was played and sequenced, and the chemistry, just it was flawless, dude. It sounded like I was listening to a band of people who have legitimately been together for a very long time. They're very comfortable with each other. They are okay with themselves as musicians. They know exactly what they're able to do, and they come together and they release the second album. And I firmly believe that from what I've listened to from the first album released in 2010, the second album, which I can see inside the album art, says inside the cable temple. This is just as strong. I think that people who want to make music like what you've heard today, I think it'd be wise for you to listen through the whole album, and I would personally be keen to listen through an entire Omnipotent Youth Review Society album. In fact, it may even be beneficial for us to do both. It may even be beneficial for us to review the entirety of the 2 albums, and that is something that I may consider doing at some point. However, I'm still getting used to this new schedule I have, where I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. My body is still adjusting to that, so maybe a little bit of time before we're able to do that. However, the desire is there at the very least. Omnipotent Youth Society's music performance was exquisite. The themes on the different instruments were not super complicated. They had simple quarter to eighth note rhythms there with some ornamentation, little flutters and trills and tremolo bits, but at the same time, it's almost like they represented like butterflies or birds or something like that, with like the high flutters and the string parts or the woodwind parts, and it was a lovely flow of energy throughout. I think that it's more about the art and the way what it evokes in the listener than anything else, and I think there's a tremendous amount of power in that. The guitar, before we go to the production, the guitar was so gentle and friendly, but it was also neutral. It allowed for a lot of other elements of the mix to bounce off of it. I think the strumming there and those little fingerpick parts with the 3 chords was just it. And it was just it. It was all you needed. Finally, the production, the recording, mixing, mastering is exactly what I would want from an album released in 2020. It's nice and loud, but also has plenty of dynamic range. The EQing, the stereo effects processing, the stereo field is sorted, the panning's phenomenal. The way things are glued together in the mix as well, level-wise, is absolutely divine. Man, it's just a masterclass, man. It's a masterclass in music, songwriting, production. I genuinely think that this is required listening. Anyone who wants to make music within this genre needs to listen through Omnipotent Youth Society's both of their albums. And that's, again, why I want to listen through both of them to thoroughly understand them. I've considered doing, I will rate, and rank, different musicians' songs. So, I want to do that for Jay Chow, where I rank every one of his songs. And for Zhou Shin and maybe even David Tao. but I don't think I'd do it for Omnipotent Youth Society because, like, it's not about the one track, it's about the vibe, and I think that each song is special for different reasons. You can't really say, well, this thing that this evokes is better than this one. They're neutral, unique things that also come together and are more powerful because they're connected to the other elements of the album. Ultimately, I believe that this is a really great track. Thank you to Wudi for your SP Patron suggestion for this month, and I look forward to reviewing more stuff for you in future. But thank you very much, because this is my review of Omnipotent Youth Society's Suburban Sleeping Temple. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and Spotify page. Stay cool and stay... How do I do this? I'm trying to get used to this. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. It's either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.